Hello there, and welcome to Lore Time with the Chibi Inquisitor. Today's subject is the Ordo Malleus. The Ordo Malleus, whose Inquisitors are often referred to as Demon Hunters, is a subdivision of the Imperial Inquisition tasked with protecting the Imperium of mankind from the demonic dangers of chaos. Along with the Ordo Hereticus and the Ordo Xenos, the Ordo Malleus makes up the Byzantine organization that is the Inquisition. Aided by the elite Psychic Grey Knights, Space Marine chapters, who serve as the Ordo Malleus's Chamber Militant, it is the task of the Inquisitors and the Acolytes of the Ordo Malleus to destroy the physical manifestations of chaos, demons in the physical universe, as well as other agents of chaos who threaten both the peace and the souls of the Imperium's people. The Ordo Malleus was essentially the heart of the Inquisition, founded in the period after Horus had launched his great rebellion against the Emperor of Mankind. In the days after the crew of the Imperial frigate Eisenstein brought the news of Horus's betrayal to Terra, the Emperor requested that his regent Malkador find him men and women of utmost loyalty to the Imperial cause, who were willing to investigate threats to the Imperium from both within and without. Malkador eventually brought 12 individuals to the Emperor's notice. In the days just before the Siege of Terra, 4 Imperial Lords and Administrators of the Inquisitive bent and 8 physically empowered Astartes of both the Loyalist and Traitor Legions, who had remained loyal to the Emperor and served as Malkador's personal agents. During the Horus Heresy, the Knights Errant, the 8 Space Marines became the first Grey Knights Grand Masters, while the 4 Mortals founded what became the Inquisition proper. However, the division of the Inquisition that would become known as the Ordo Malleus was not officially formed until the mid-32nd millennium, centuries after the end of the Horus Heresy in the wake of the War of the Beast. The Ordo Malleus was one of 2 original Ordos of the Inquisition, and the other being the Ordo Xenos, created following the Great Conflict against the Orcs, to ensure that the Imperium never again nearly fell to an assault by Xenos. Where the Inquisitors of the Ordo Xenos concentrated on defeating the many threats that aliens presented to the humans' domination of the galaxy, the Inquisitors of what slowly evolved into the Ordo Malleus remained focused on the Inquisition's original mission of countering the insidious threat of chaos and the demons of the warp. Since its inception, the Ordo Malleus has concerned itself with the constant threat of demonic incursion and chaos corruption that faces the Imperium. For thousands of Terran years, it has waged a covert war for humans' continued survival against the insidious, infernal forces of the ruinous power of chaos. An Ordo Malleus Inquisitor is sanctioned to call on the aid of any organization of the Imperium. The greatest threat to humanity in the galaxy, that of a demonic invasion of a planet, could only be dealt with by the Grey Knights, the Ordo Malleus's own Chamber Militant. The Ordo Malleus, besides being the demon hunters of the Imperium, is the secretive inner and first order of the Inquisition. It is controlled by a council of 169 Inquisitor Lords called Masters. The Ordo's organization is divided into chambers, each controlled by an Inquisitor Lord called a Proctor. The number of Inquisitors in each chamber can vary from a few scores to hundreds. Being a division of the Inquisition, the Ordo Malleus consists of exceptional individuals who have been involved in a covert war for mankind's continued survival for the last 10,000 standard years. As every Inquisitor has sworn oaths to defend the Imperium from its worst enemies, the members of the Ordo Malleus are concerned with eliminating the physical manifestation of chaos itself. They have pledged their existence to the discovery and elimination of the demonic threat to humanity. No matter where they are found, the Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus have at their disposal every resource of the Imperium of Man, and will not hesitate to requisition local troops at a moment's notice. The Ordo Malleus goes to great lengths to hide the existence of chaos, and its servants from the greater masses of mankind, as they fear such knowledge might only increase the number of individuals who fall prey to the corruption of the dark gods. As such, on those rare occasions when the Ordo Malleus is mentioned by name, it is referred to as the watchdog of the Inquisition itself, though its actual purpose as the Imperium's elite demon hunters is known only to those within its employ as acolytes and throne agents. Within the Inquisition, the Ordo Malleus forms a secret order that is tasked with the very clear role of serving as the Imperium's primary demon hunters. As such, it is their duty to root out all sources of demonic activity and to combat such forces in whatever form they take. This means that only the most mentally stalwart and physically able of Inquisitors are tasked to this duty. Their missions can see them engage with foes in either hand-to-hand fighting or battle them in the realm of the mental energy, which requires special abilities and powers. This means that the Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus are usually psychers, and those who lack such abilities must possess tremendous mental resolve. As they are a highly classified group, the identities of the Ordo Malleus Inquisitors are kept secret. When members of the Ordo must appear in public in the course of their investigations, they are allowed to adopt the uniforms of various other Imperial Adepta and hide their features, allowing them to keep their true identities a secret. Only the Emperor and the cyber libraries of the Ordo Malleus possess a truly accurate recounting of the events of the Horus Heresy. Among the targets of the Ordo Malleus are the Chaos Space Marines of the Traitor Legions, covens consisting of Chaos worshippers and renegade psychers, and the Sensei who have seen as a threat to the Imperium. It is known that certain Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus have been allowed entry into the Aldari's Black Library, and have gained more knowledge of the archenemy than almost any other human save for the Emperor himself. The power and authority of the Ordo Malleus extends beyond the nominal boundaries of the Inquisition, a jurisdictional extension known as the Malleus Remit in events of a grave emergency concerning potential demonic threats. A Malleus Inquisitor may demand the services and resources of any Imperial servant or organization, a request which may not be refused on pain of death. Even the High Lords of Terror and the Adeptus Astartes are beholden to follow the Malleus Remit without hesitation when it is invoked, a responsibility laid down at the end of the Horus Heresy by the Emperor's decree. Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus were also permanently seconded into the Cadian military due to that now lost world's proximity to the Eye of Terror, making its inhabitants susceptible to the influence of chaos. In normal circumstances, the Ordo Malleus focuses its investigations towards two primary threats. The demon without. The most obvious threat is that a demon who has physically manifested in the material universe, and those mortals dedicated to the service of the chaos in all of its forms. The demon within. The less obvious threat is an internal one, including radical inquisitors who have been declared extremis diabolus for heretical actions in which they adopted the use of tactics and artifacts of chaos to fight the servants of the archenemy. To protect its citizens from the insidious temptations of chaos, the Imperium of Man long did its best to hide the existence of the Chaos Gods, demons, and the Chaos Space Marines from public knowledge. Only certain Space Marines, sanctioned psychers, and the members of the Inquisition were permitted to know the Imperium's darkest secret. It was a long inquisitorial policy to mind-wipe even members of the Adeptus Astartes, including entire chapters in some cases, after exposure to the demonic. All others are either put to death after exposure to the reality of chaos to protect the Imperium from their possible corruption, or if they've been a valuable asset to the Imperium, they are allowed to live but required to undergo memory modification or even in extreme cases, a mind wipe. This is a policy that has been in place since the Emperor of Mankind was interred within the Golden Throne, when only he and his Primarchs knew that the warp contained intelligent entities capable of possessing individuals in real space. But even the Emperor did not reveal to his Primarchs during the Great Crusade that the full truth that the warp was not just a seething cauldron of psychic energies inhabited by entities similar to Xenos, but was actually populated by malign intelligences akin to the supernatural beings of ancient human myth and superstition. He chose not to explain that the Etherian was dominated by the ruinous powers and their demonic servants, for fear that this knowledge would alone lead too many of the Primarchs to take actions that would lead to their corruption. To fight a demon army is to fight a twisting tornado of unreason and despair that forever changes those who must confront its horror. As such, the Imperium believes that it cannot allow the knowledge that such foes actually exist to spread, since even the simple knowledge of chaos existence may mark the start of an individual's fall to damnation. The human survivors of conflicts with the demonic were invariably confronted by the agents of the Inquisition and mind-wiped, quarantined for life in forced labor camps, or even, in extreme cases, made the subjects of a worldwide exterminatus event. Over the aeons, the galaxy has witnessed warp-based catastrophes and demonic incursions beyond counting. Since the inception of the Inquisition after the Horus Heresy, even the fact that such a thing is possible is deemed too dangerous for the citizens of the Imperium to know, for such knowledge breeds heresy, as surely as a fly-blown corpse breeds maggots. Because of this, the vast majority of knowledge concerning demonic incursions has been eradicated from extant Imperial public records. What is known is recorded only in prescribed Imperial text and heretical Xenos scripts that the Inquisition has yet to destroy. However, in the wake of the Great Rift at the start of the Era Indomitus, this policy of secrecy has been somewhat relaxed, at least for the Adeptus Astartes, due to necessity. Before the opening of the Great Rift, the vast majority of Astartes were expected to be ignorant about the existence of demons as any other citizen of the Imperium. In truth, it was hard to find an Astartes who had not fought demons by the end of the 41st millennium, yet the Inquisition in the time of ending was well known to mind-wipe entire chapters after certain incidents, though not every chapter was willing to submit. Some, like the Space Wolves, resisted any intrusion on their traditional autonomy forcefully. But in the Era Indomitus, with the galaxy now riven in half by the birth of the Cicatrix Maledictum, the demonic incursions are so common and the Space Marine response so necessary that suppressing the knowledge of the existence of demons among the Astartes has simply become pointless. The Ordo Malleus is led by the Inquisitor Lords known as the Hidden Masters. Unlike the other Ordos of the Inquisition, the Ordo Malleus has more rigid and formalized hierarchical structure, and it is controlled by a council of 169 Inquisitor Lords known as Masters, all of whom have the right to have a direct audience with the Emperor himself within the inner sanctum of the Imperial Palace, if they so request. Their authority even extends to the inquisitorial representative of the Senatorium Imperialis, some of whom have been tried and executed by the Masters of the Ordo in times past. Below the Masters are the Inquisitors known as the Proctors and Proctor Minors, with each being responsible for their leadership of the Chamber Practical of the Ordo. The Chambers Practical themselves are named after their founding proctor and serve as the basic unit of the Ordo Malleus. Inquisitors ordinarily form the rank and file of the Ordo, while there still exists a parallel organization called the Chambers Theoretical and Historical that consists of agents known as Inquisitors Historical. Inquisitors Historical are drawn from the older members of the Ordo who are unable to continue their active service due to ill health and injury. Instead, they are assigned research and data collation projects at the Inquisitorial and Administratum libraries. Within the chambers there are perhaps only a few hundred Inquisitors ordinary and historical in total across the galaxy. The chambers theoretical and historical for their part possess a total number of a few score members that are engaged in research, whilst the chambers practical are comprised of hundreds of Inquisitors who are responsible for operating the various sector conclaves of the Ordo Malleus in the field. The Ordo Malleus works directly under the Emperor's warrant, and thus has a completely free hand in its operations. This means that an Inquisitor Ordinary of this Ordo is able to demand anything they see fit from any adapter or armed service in the Imperium, in order to accomplish their duty with no explanation being offered. Any Imperial servant that meets with an Ordo Malleus Inquisitor must comply and obey their command. The most common demand made by a Malleus Inquisitor is for troops to support their operations, though such forces rarely survive in the service of an Inquisitor Ordinary. This is not necessarily viewed as a problem by the Inquisitor, however, as they would be forced to mind-wipe or otherwise eliminate those troops who have served them and been exposed to the realities of chaos. However, high public honors are given to those Imperial units that are attached to the Ordo Malleus, should they die in the service of the Inquisition. Through the campaigns upon which the honors are earned remain sealed in the archives of the Ordo. Members of the Ordo Malleus tend to favor simple yet sinister uniforms with black loose-fitting habits over their armor, along with large hoods that hide their features in shadow. Graphic electus are often unofficial yet traditional additions to this uniform, but Malleus Inquisitors, as their glowing appearance beneath the skin adds a disturbing quality to the appearance of those Inquisitors, which they find useful in seeking to intimidate outsiders with an air of menace and mystery. By tradition, the Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus tend to have one electu for each coven of witches or heretics they have discovered and cleansed. As such, for the oldest Malleus Inquisitors, it is not uncommon for them to have elaborate electu designs to be inscribed all across their bodies. The design of these electus have been fixed for generations, with the symbols intended to recall in a stylized manner each of the various demons and other chaos foes that the Inquisitor has faced and defeated. The rarely seen or used badge of the Ordo Malleus takes the form of the Imperial Aquila, holding a rod and an axe in each talon, which is worn either on the shoulder or on the right breast. Masters and proctors of the Ordo Malleus are always psychers who carry forced rods as a symbol of their authority, though in combat engagements this is often supplemented with a power weapon of the Inquisitor's choice. Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus and their acolytes face the greatest threat to humanity's existence: chaos and the demons of the warp. The dark gods of chaos are the arch enemies of mankind. The ruinous powers and their demons seek to bring the veil crashing down and undo reality as we know it, plunging the galaxy into the madness of the warp. Although insidious heretics seek to undermine the Imperium from within, and alien abominations attack from without, the demons of the Immaterium whisper their lies from beyond the fabric of reality. Yet when the veil is rent asunder, demons invade in great tide, slaughtering and unleashing cataclysmic destruction. Few warriors can even face such a foe without succumbing to the terror and madness, and even mere knowledge of such entities is restricted. Only the Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus and their acolytes possess the knowledge, strength of will, and tools to stand against the demon. Although demons pose an almost inconceivable threat to mankind, they face certain limitations. Chief among these is the difficulty demons have manifesting and remaining in the material universe. Without the psychic energy of the warp to sustain them, demons are able to maintain a corporeal form for only so long. Breaching the veil and entering reality in the first place is only possible under certain circumstances. These limitations mean that the bulk of the Ordo Malleus's work consists of not banishing demons back to the warp, but preventing their arrival in the first place. Some demons are so apocalyptically powerful that there is no hope in defeating them in battle, and the only way to save a world or star system is to ensure the demon does not manifest. For a demon to manifest, the barrier between reality and the warp must be weakened and broken. There are a number of ways this can come about, both due to the actions of mortals and the vagaries of the warp. Even a sanctioned psyker risks opening a gateway to the warp with each use of its powers. And for this reason, some members of the Ordo Malleus share the same anti-psycho views as the most hard-lined witch hunters. Male thick cults often seek to summon demons, either to enact the cult's aim or a simple act of devotion to the dark gods. The very movements of the warp, perhaps fed by the emotions of mortals, disturbed by the activities of psychers, or set in motion aeons ago, can in rare cases push against the veil of reality until it tears. What all these potentialities share is either a warp rift that allows demons to manifest physical forms in reality, or the possession of a mortal host body. It is not necessary, however, for a demon to manifest in reality in order to threaten humanity. Demons communicate with mortals from the depths of the warp, and psychers are particularly susceptible to these whispers and visions. Often such contact is the precursor to a demon entering reality, as it establishes a link in order to corrupt and possess a mortal, or instructs the mortal in ways of its summoning. There are many reasons a mortal might fall to a demon's temptation: a lust for power, wealth, adoration, revenge. All of these and more are mortal weaknesses a demon might exploit. Even if the interaction does not lead to the demon's emergence in the physical universe, a mortal under demonic influence might undertake all manner of evil deeds. Powerful psychers and influential figures can cause untold damage, igniting wars and leading star systems and even entire sectors into eternal damnation. Because of the nature of demons, the early stages of an Ordo Malleus investigation often deal with mortals in the thrall to demons, In many cases, a successful mission might mean preventing a chaos cult from summoning a demon, or destroying a rogue psyker before he succumbs to possession. In this way, the work of the Ordo Malleus overlaps with that of the Ordo Hereticus. However, while the Inquisitors of the Ordo Hereticus focus on the traitors and witches themselves, the servants of the Ordo Malleus concern themselves always with the true threat of the demon, better to prevent that threat from materializing. But if the worst does happen, the warriors of the Ordo Malleus possess the knowledge and tools to fight the demonic. The servants of the Ordo Malleus must often investigate secretive chaos cults with the aspirations to summon demons, or even plunge worlds into the warp. Depending on the nature of the enemy and the preferred methods of a warband, this might entail infiltrating a cult in order to learn the threat it poses, and even uncover its dark secrets in order to turn such knowledge against other enemies. Other Inquisitors might conscript local armed forces in order to flush out the heretics and launch a full-scale assault on their compound. There are many heretics who unknowingly threaten to bring demons into reality. Although a scholar of forbidden lore might not think himself a devotee of chaos, by opening his mind to the secrets of the warp, he draws the attention of its denizens. A noble dilettante who collects warp-touched artifacts might unwittingly release the power they contain and open a warp rift. Guardsmen of the Astra Militarium, and even space marines who enter battle against the forces of chaos, and particularly against incarnate demons, risk corruption that might, if unchecked, transform them into the very enemy they battled against. All too often, Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus or their acolytes are too late to stop a demonic summoning, or a warp rift might open without warning. Sometimes an inquisitorial warband first indication that there is a threat comes from a presence of a demon, whether scheming in the shadows or slaughtering in the habways. When demons step foot into the material universe, it is the sacred duty of the Ordo Malleus to banish them back to the immaterium. Often once a demon is manifest in reality, only inflicting great damage to its corporeal form can disrupt its hold enough to return it to the warp. For this reason, combat can be a major part of the Ordo Malleus's investigations. Demons are the most dangerous and horrifying foes imaginable, and even for veteran demon hunters, each encounter is a monumentous experience. Not only are demons powerful adversaries that invite a host of strange warp-spawned abilities, but their mere presence can taint the soul and shatter the minds of hardened warriors. Because of this, Inquisitors and Acolytes often cannot count on local forces for aid in combat, as few are likely to possess the strength of will necessary to overcome their fear in the face of a demonic foes. In order to successfully battle demons, Acolytes must not only be capable combatants, but strong enough of will to maintain their composure. Heavy weapons and sanctified blades are of no use if the warrior falls apart in the presence of a horrific enemy. Thank you for joining me with this in-depth look into the Ordo Malleus. Join me next time for more 40k lore